Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to continue the series on fundamental wrestling skills. Look, and I keep coming back to what Sosai said. If you think about Kyokushin, it's actually a very innovative style. It did break away from a lot of the traditions of karate training, not the traditions of karate techniques, but the traditions of karate training, and made them more common in general practice, even though things like full contact fighting and so on were very common for decades and decades. In fact, probably as long as man's been around. It was Sosai that made it a common practice and also brought the knockout full contact tournaments to the attention of the public. Now, one of the things that Sosai said was that if you want to call yourself a martial artist, you can't be ignorant of the fundamentals of any martial art. So we work on the theory of 5 ranges. You've got the kick range, and each range is probably about 20 centimeters or 25 centimeters close. You've got the kick range, punch range, headbutt elbow range, stand-up grapple range, and then down on the ground. So what we're doing at the moment is we're working on a series of techniques for range 4, that is the stand-up grapple range. And fundamentally, on that inside range, beside the gyakute, which is the hand-hold reversals or the hand grappling, we can show a little bit of that too at some stage. You have some fundamental key drills. So we have a 2-on-1, which we did last week. We have an arm drag, which is also very, very important. We're going to do that this week. You have the key dominant head position, which we'll also show a little bit today. You have
collar tie.
The collar tie, which is very important. Probably calling it a collar tie is a little bit misleading because it's not. The hand is on the collar, but the skill of the technique is in the weight and the technique of the elbow. And the last one?
Underhook.
Underhook. Underhook is vital, not just when you're on the ground in range 5, but also when you're standing up. And that's why you see wrestlers, when they fight, their arms are very, very tight and close to their body, because it's a little bit like judo in the Olympics. They'll spend 5 minutes getting those grips. As soon as they got that grip, bang, the whole thing is over. They've gone from 0 to gold medal hero, just like that, simply because they got their grips. Well, the underhook is a very similar situation. If a good wrestler, particularly Greco-Roman wrestler, can get in and hold that really, really tight in, then it's a very, very, very dominant position. So first of all, we're going to show you a really neat training drill for arm drags. Remember, it's primarily a training drill, and just like many things that we do, even kata, you could say, are training drills. The kata themselves are not necessarily exactly how you'd use the technique in a real situation, but the kata gives you the fundamental drill, okay? And so we'll work on what I think is a very relevant training drill, even though it's often minimized simply because the situation itself doesn't necessarily arise. But then, because it's this external rotation of the hand, which we do in karate, I tend to think that karate guys have, through Tensho, have a much better proprioception in that technique than a lot of other people. Yeah. It's just the same as when we grapple sometimes. We find that you can be training with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys and even wrestlers who have been training for many, many years. And if you can simply sometimes just change the stance into a very common karate stance, it gives you a different type of stability that is very, very realistic. What's your thought on the arm drag, Mitch?
I think it's fantastic. It's everywhere. You haven't mentioned the defense to it, but the redrags that are available as well. So even if you get arm dragged, you can redrag, you can do things as well, turn a defense into an offense, and they're everywhere. The more I train with you over the years, the more I realize that they're not just standing, they're on the ground, they're in takedowns, they're gi, they're no gi. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the redrags. Well, if we have time today, we'll go through 3 fundamental defenses against the arm drag, which were taught to me by the the one and only Eric Paulson, the great Eric Paulson. They're great too. And also we'll work on why and how the dominant head position, when it's done well, can counter the redrag. Okay, so I think they're very important. So let's have a look at these techniques now. We'll set up here. And we're just going to look at a fundamental. So the arm drag is simply this. I take the arm, get an arm pit grab, and drag it through. It's like I use the analogy of passing a football in rugby. Okay, I get the hand, I come up high in the armpit, and I drag it through. Now that serves a lot of really good applications, not just in wrestling, but also in stand-up. When he throws that punch at me, boom, I can get behind there very easily by using that arm drag. It's a fantastic, that caught you by surprise. It's a very, very realistic way. I don't want trouble. You go there, I do the Sosai movement like this, in that movement, and it all comes off the arm drag. And if you want, you can boom, finish with the choke as well. Otherwise, the same sort of situation comes up. I can do a cross face straight away, which would knock him out, I think, quite seriously knock him out. That's courtesy of Uncle Gene LaBelle. Okay, so the arm drag has a lot of practicality. In the stand-up, if you don't want to wrestle, you just want to gain access, I can be here and then knock them down. See that? I just got my Wally Snellbelt shirt on today. We wore a black and white shirt so you can see contrast. Shout out to Sensei Wally Snellbelt, my first, along with Gary O'Neill, my first Uchideshi live-in student, who's now a member of parliament in his home country, Oswald. Okay, so I can just be heard, I want trouble, knock the hands down. This is a more realistic grip. Okay, depends on what you want to do. If I had that grip there, I'd probably do a throw, but to lead straight into the armpit, drag, cross face, push the arm as in Seiha, and then you can literally finish, just push your hand down for a sec, I can finish by taking my radius bone along the jawline where the teeth enter the gum. It's incredibly sensitive, and I can squeeze that in, and my mindset is I'm taking his ear and I'm folding it to his chest. Clearly he's not going to get there, and then you go down there, and that's a very powerful submission. Okay, so from a karate perspective, I'm covering, boom, and I knock the hands down. I go headbutt there, pull in here, pull back, and take him to the ground. Remember, when I pull someone back from the head, I don't pull them backwards, because if he regains his posture, now I'm in trouble. Okay, so what I do is I take his head to his heels. So when I'm in that situation, I'm there, clear, boom, and I take his head straight down. You see, that collapses him down to his heels. That's very important to remember that. Okay, so for the arm drag now, just for the drill, we do scarecrow type drills. He puts his hand here, I uchi-uke, grab, and through. So just for the sake of the drill, he just goes one arm. I don't even have to drag. I just get used to this wrist, armpit, just there like that. Boom. And I don't anticipate. I don't think he's going left, right, and get caught. I simply watch and pay attention. And I react to whichever shoulder he touches. Okay? You take it a step further and just stand at that angle, and you do it with your eyes closed, and it's a very important part of the drill, because sometimes when you're in tight, you don't have vision. Your eyes are closed, or he's thrown sand in your eyes or something. I get in close here, and I can feel that arm drag. Okay? So we do the same drill with our eyes closed. And then you can carry it through all the way, okay? Doing that drill with your eyes closed has an added important point, and that is this. If he crosses over, like he's pushing me or something like that, if I'm not used to, if my proprioception isn't developed, I'll get confused, and I'll think, well, it's that arm, which arm do I do it with, okay? really important that you recognize that if it's this shoulder, it's that hand. It's just not going to be the same as an arm drag. Now it turns it into a 2-on-1, which we did last week. Okay, so that's another important part of the drill, which we won't do today. As I do it, he can cross over sometimes. Then I have to make sure that I get the correct arm on the correct side. Okay, that's a really important part. Or the pickle. Okay, it's a really important part of the drill is getting used to making sure that I react to the correct side, and then continue on after that. Okay. Now, for a simple but very effective takedown from there, very simple but very effective, is I just call it the sit down. So I'm going to, and we use this as a drill, but the reality is this isn't that common that the hand will come up here like this. Okay, he might want to grab, but if he gets a good hold of me, I'm not going to be able to turn that into an arm drag. So what I need to do is actually chase the hand. So I might go here and I'll grab the hand, knock it down. It may be that he grabs my hand, which is also just as good. I can still use the arm drag from there. Okay, I may be here and I grab him with this side. No, I grab him with this side, or he grabs me with this side. I'm going to just pass it off to the other hand before I go to the arm drag. Or if we're here like this, sometimes I can literally just slap it into the hand like that. This is courtesy of Uncle Jean LaBelle. I call it the Jean LaBelle slap and grab. From there, shoot the hand over into that hand and come in there, and it catches people by surprise. Very effective and very sneaky. Okay, I get the arm here. We'll look at the counters in a sec, and I'll show you why dominant head position really makes a difference. Okay, but I come in here. What I'm going to do in this situation is get my hand around the waist, and look, I'm simply just sitting down. I'm dragging and sitting. And I stay seated, because if I go down as well, then I'll get in trouble. So I stay seated. And that particular skill of staying seated actually takes a little bit of practice, because your mind says you want to drag him. But the reality is you're letting gravity do the work, and you're staying up. I'm here like this. I get in. I'm in this position. I literally just sit down and drag him past, but I keep my head high. My head has to be higher than his head. Okay? From there, I can drag him. In a karate situation, I can continue on like this. In a grappling situation, I can take his back or the mount. Okay? So that's one simple takedown from there. Watching very carefully again. I'm going to take the hand. And here, from a karate perspective, that's where we do the headbutt. Boom, right in there. We get our dominant head in. We keep it close. Why? Because if I'm here, he headbutts me. Boom. Okay, so I don't want that to happen. So I get my head in right here, looking at his spine. This hand's going to wrap tight. The beauty of this too, it kind of catches his shoulder. So now when he tries to drag that arm out, it's very difficult. Okay? Then I simply sit my leg out and I sit down. And it's very strong takedown from this position. If he tries to get up, I can drag his hip down from there and finish. Now, let's look at some fundamental counters. So the first one is called a redrag. And that simply is when I take the arm, he redrags me, because if you look at it, we're in exactly the same position here. When I go here, look, our arms are exactly the same. So if his timing is good, I come here, he just drags me and counters with a redrag. Okay? The next one I call the thumbs down, but it's literally a very powerful elbow right in the middle of the chest. Okay? So, you drag me then? Yeah. He drags. All I do is I turn, and my hand just dangles straight down. It's better if you do it, because my white arm, so you do it there. See Mitch's arm straight, vertical, like that, and the thumb is looking back at me. And that elbow plants right on the sternum. So now when he arm drags me, I just do that, and the harder his arm drag goes, the more impact causes. I'm there, arm drag, boom, there like that. And then I can turn that into an arm drag, counter, re-drag. Okay, the third one, what Eric Paulson calls the jailbreak, get out of jail. As he does it, instead of doing it, what I do is I actually accelerate. So I get way out of there, so he hasn't got an opportunity now. He drags, he can't get my back, he can't get the controls. What I do is I accelerate through, and I get exit stage right. Okay, so they're three really solid counters to the arm drag. Okay, so that's a really very simple but very powerful introduction to the simplicity of the arm drag, and it can be everywhere. You can even find it when you're doing like normal kumite. We have a way of doing kumite in our dojo, which includes going to the ground and so on. And so you can just be doing normal kumite there. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Or he throws a punch, boom, that's all it takes. Now I've got the setup for the arm drag. All I do is I shoot my arm in, I shoot it and pull it back. That's the arm drag. And then boom, boom. There. You don't have to say boom, boom. That's just me. Okay? There, boom. Or I can even throw the punch. Boom. Yep, boom. That'll happen, see? I'll throw the punch, he blocks it down. That's all I need. Throw the punch, he blocks it down, I grab it and take it past. So there are ways to get that arm drag even from a fundamental Kyokushin sparring position. Anyway, thanks for coming. Let's have a look. Hi, Rochelle. Loyal Rochelle, all the way from Canada. Marco, good to see you. Us, Harry, how are you? You used to be down the mountain. I was up the mountain. Now you're down the mountain, and I'm even further down the mountain. Mark, Us, Nicholas. Harry again, yep. Oh, yeah, I don't care. Kumite 360 podcast. Us. Who was that?
I think that's Paddy Pinto, Sensei Paddy Pinto.
Is that Paddy?
I think so, yeah.
Beautiful. Paddy, I heard your message the other day. I hope that Paddy recently organised a 50 year celebration of Shihan Billy Polychronopoulos in Kyokushin. I couldn't get down. I had to go away with work. But I had a good chat to Bill after that. A lot of people hitting their 50 years mark, and it's just a phenomenal thing. Well, Sensei Mike, nice to see you. Thanks for coming along. Those arm drag counters are magic. Yeah, look, we'll go through them once again and a little slow, but that's all we wanted to show you today is the fundamental keys to a good arm drag and the counters to it. The counters to it. The first arm drag counter is when he arm drags me, I re-drag, get in here, strong stance, and I counter the arm drag with the same thing. Next one is thumbs down, right at elbow, smack into the middle of his sternum. Can cause him to cough there when the arm drag comes. Boom, drive it in there, and then turn it in to a re-drag. And the third one, the jailbreak, boom, accelerate my hips forward and get the heck out of there. There are three really good counters to the arm drags. Okay. Of course, one of the most important keys to not getting arm drag is protecting the underhooks. Okay, all the time. Anyway, thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's valuable. If it is, and you haven't subscribed, why not? Okay, we're trying to reach the 10 million mark, and I think we're up to about 4,000, which is nice, actually. We're happy with that. We're not trying to break records. But if you like it and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell so we can give you notification when we're coming along. And thanks for coming. Good to see you all. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys. See you soon.